welcome to my video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about a little bit of things here. So I got my GPU yesterday. I got an RX 7600 GPU and I put it into my B550A system. Took out the RX 460 and my RX 3060, which is in my Asus Prime PC. So now my Asus Prime, which I'm using right now, and I'm using the RX 6600 as you see in this terminal, that's what I replaced my RTX 3060 with. I had the RX 6600 before I bought the RTX 3060. Basically what was this card used to be my B550A system, or the ROG Strix PC. Then I was thinking, like, I know NVIDIA is pretty good for gaming. It got really good for encoders, because I had some problems in the past with encoders, or even just doing a screencast with AMD graphic cards on Linux. Though I find it's been working really good as of now, like with Wayland, and I don't know, like on NixOS, that is. In the past, I used other different distributions, so it could have been, the distribution, problems as well. It also could have been just the microphone I was using. Also, it could be a lot of things, but as of now, I noticed, like, using the RX 6600, my last few videos were done on the RX 6600 GPU, and my, YouTube content stuff that I can do with this PC is good enough. So I did, however, install Arch Linux on my system as well. So I installed NixOS and Arch Linux. So I basically redone my NixOS system that I had. I already had NixOS, but I redone it. I could have just, rebuild it and, done all that other stuff. But I just reinstalled a clean slate because I wanted to just, I use NVIDIA on this computer. I don't want any problems down the road, so I'm just gonna freshly install it and just run. I saved my Nix configuration file, and I basically just used that to rebuild my system base, and after that I just basically run Deja dup and restore my home directory stuff, like my .dot files and all the stuff I have in my home directory. I just restore with that program, and then I have my system back. And then I basically wiped out Windows and I put Arch Linux on the system, and I just, like, when you're in Arch install, it will ask you, like, do you want to shroot and install some additional packages? And I just basically done that. So I basically installed my base, the packages I use on Arch Linux. So pretty much, luckily, the way the kind of system or how I use Linux is that I can get everything from the Arch Linux official repository. I don't have to really use AUR, and I don't. Though I have to grab, like with NixOS, I can get pretty much every single software on from the Nix software package manager, except for Music Box, and I'm not sure about other programs, but I know Catnap, it's called now. It used to be called Catnap. This fetch program. You can't get it on NixOS, or not that I'm aware of. Though I can try that. Let's try that. So sudo nix environment -I capital A nixos .catnap. I don't think they have it. I'll put catnap -git. I think it's only made available for AUR, to be honest, because that's the developer that done that. So yeah. So, anyways, so I install Arch Linux to replace my Windows, because I don't want to be on Windows. I'm not really a Windows person. I just actually put Windows on for the time being because I heard about this backdoor thing, and I'm like, okay, I need to get off Linux right now just to be safe, and install another system on my PC. I couldn't think of any other system that runs on PC or that I had available. So I just installed Windows just because I wanted to get off Linux for a second and see what was going on with this backdoor. And then we all know the outcome of that. And I'm just like, why install Windows in the first place? And also thinking, why, if there's a problem with Linux, I should just stay on Linux and deal with the problem and try to resolve the problem, not go on Windows and thinking like I'm going to be safe there, because I won't be safe there. And I should know better. For a person using Linux for a long time, I should not even think about going back to Windows. Maybe I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I was thinking like, well, Windows is good for running games, and I can just use that for gaming, which it is true. I think a lot of it to do is because of my NVIDIA problems on Linux as well, and that's probably why I kind of just installed Windows as well, and I wasn't hesitating about it because NVIDIA is terrible on Linux. I don't really care. All like you NVIDIA users, you probably got to thumb down this video. You got to probably downvote all my comments on Reddit, and I don't care if you downvote me, because being a fanboy or a fangirl, it's just stupid, to be honest. I'm being realistic here. NVIDIA drivers are non-free, which is terrible for Linux because it's promoting proprietary software, which I disagree with 100%. I'm all about FOSS here, okay? So that's why I use Linux. This is why I love GNU Linux, and I like GNU and Linux kernel, is because I like the open source foundation. Okay, I support the open source foundation. I support GNU Foundation. I support the free software movement and all that stuff. Okay, like I'm probably not your typical free software kind of person, because a lot of things I use is probably totally against the GNU Foundation people, but I do support it. Okay, I love the philosophy of free software. I love free software, and I love my freedom, and I also love open source software. I know games are they're non-free type of software, but they're video games, so it doesn't really matter to me. But some may argue with that's fine, and I get the argument of all that. But anyways, I like playing video games. I know it's not open source, and I can accept that. But what I can't accept is my drivers, basically are non-free. Developers can't do much about it to fix issues with this new display. Well, it's not really new, but it's a new kind of display server that is being introduced to Linux called Wayland. And if they can't really make the GPU or the drivers work with that particular hardware GPU, is making developers have a difficult time to actually really, perfect it. As into AMD and Intel, the drivers are open source, so they can do a lot more with it, with the drivers, especially AMD. And that's one thing I like about AMD, is because they do have a really good open source, drivers for the AMD graphics. And that's why I basically forgot about how, NVIDIA is on Linux. I didn't thought it was that bad. I hear people complain about it in the internet world, and I'm like, it can't be that bad. So I bought, 2 NVIDIA GPU, thinking like, this is gonna be a lot better for Linux, and all this negative things about NVIDIA is probably just people just complaining for nothing. And I was definitely wrong, because I forgot how it was using NVIDIA cards, because I was using AMD graphics in the past as well. Like I had an RX 580, and I had the RX 6600 that I'm using on this system right here. So I've been using AMD for a long while, and my B-Link is a pure AMD system. So I, always had good things with Linux on the B-Link, except for Gentoo. Gentoo seems to not like that device. It just will shut it off. Like I'll just literally power it off. Other distributions don't do that. NixOS runs perfectly fine on that machine, but if I run Gentoo, it'll just randomly shut that thing off, and I have no idea why it's doing that, and it's very frustrating. But NixOS, I find, is a better distribution personally over Gentoo. I don't hate Gentoo, but I do prefer NixOS over Gentoo, and it works really good in the B-Link. So I am basically. I had Windows only on one computer anyways, and it was just running Final Fantasy 14. I never used the operating system because I'm not really a Windows person. I don't really care about Windows, and the only thing I think about Windows is for gaming, and that's about it. But I'm not gonna use it for gaming and it works good with NVIDIA graphics because they're both non-free, proprietary system, and proprietary drivers go really well together. But not really much with Linux. But I mean, they did improve a lot with the newest drivers out there. And I know these next users are going to be like, well, the driver's better. I don't know, man. Personal experience and from other people I talk to that uses NVIDIA graphics had a lot of problems with NixOS, okay? And don't tell me that it works really good on NixOS. It doesn't, okay? It doesn't. You have to do all this other stuff and add frame buffer, which is stupid, and you add other shit, and Discord won't launch, and your GPU is not working the way it should be working. You're putting all these modes on it that the GPU is not really getting its full potential usage out of it. As to if you were running this on Windows, you're getting the full effect of the card. And also, you could do a lot of ray tracing with games with Windows. As to Linux, it's not as easy as what you can do with Windows. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's not as easy. So I think personally, if you're gonna do Linux gaming, do it smart. Use an AMD graphic card because of the great drivers. It works really good on Wayland. I never had any problems running AMD GPUs on Wayland. It works perfectly out of the box. All I have to do is pop the card in, and that's it. I don't even have to install drivers. Like NixOS, Arch Linux, they both. Well, NixOS, I had to basically add some lines in the configuration file to use AMD GPU. But either way, it's very simple. Arch Linux, it just works. You pop the card in, you load up the system, and it already loads up the AMD GPU drivers, and you're good to go. And you can run games, everything, and it works really great. As I will show here in the screenshot here, this is a screenshot I took before I was noon. And this whole point of the screenshot was me running my RX 7600, and I just installed a game. I was just showing I have this game in max, full maximum settings, and I basically was just showing the time because on NixOS the time is 4 hours ahead than the local time that I have. And when I ran this test was 12:31 p.m. That was my local time at the time, and it also shows the local time. So basically, if I go into the game now, which is 9:53, and the game saved 9:53 as well. So it works good with Linux with the time and everything. And people ask why would it show the time properly on Arch Linux but not on NixOS? And the reason for that is because Arch Linux sets it up with NTP, and I did set it up NTP on NixOS, but it still didn't change anything. So I don't know what's going on with that. But other than that, the game works fine. There's nothing wrong that it's not running the game bad or anything. It just doesn't show up local time. I know that could be nothing. Some people don't really care for that, but I do, and it bothers me. It really drives me mad. I can't fix it. I can't change it. So I just use Arch Linux, and it runs the game good. And also, I run NixOS on 2 other computers, so it gives me a reason to use Arch Linux, I guess. So now I'm running Arch Linux and NixOS. So that's pretty cool. And I'm really happy with my setup, and I'm really happy to be on AMD graphics only. And I'm glad to get off Windows as well. I don't really care for Windows. I never really use it. All this new AI stuff and Copilot and Recall and all this bullshit, like I really do not like that kind of system, and I definitely don't want to use it. And if Linux ever gets to that point where it gets very Windows AI-ish style, I'll probably just give up computers. Period. I love computers, but man, like all this AI technology, I find it's not good. All these people liking it, even like the Linux people, are all liking this AI stuff, man. Like I'm telling you, man, that stuff is not. It's not cool. It's not good, and it's all it's gonna do. It's gonna do a lot of problems in the future, and you're gonna see. I don't need to explain anything. You're just gonna see, and I don't like AI stuff. I don't care for AI. I never had it in the past. I never have it now, and I don't really care having it in the future. I could totally live the way I live, the way it is. I don't need AI stuff, man. AI won't make my life any better. That's for sure. Anyways, guys, thanks for the watch. Until next time, I will do another video, and more videos are to come. It's just right now, I have to go into work, and yeah. So, still playing around with NixOS. Still learning it. But for the most part, like the way I set it up and how I use it, I think is good enough. I don't really need to learn Flakes and Home Manager. I mean, I could. I understand the basics of it, but I was just thinking, like, I don't really need that stuff. I know a lot of like these hardcore Nix users are probably like, you should use Flakes, you should use this, you should use that. Like, you know, I understand it's cool, maybe in the future, but as of right now, I really don't have any use for Home Manager or Flakes. Like, I just basically put all the applications in my configuration file that I need on the system, and that's all I use. Like, I don't really always. I'm a person that just wants a good system that stays updated. I set up like auto upgrade, and it will auto restart the system when the upgrade is done. I set that up, and pretty much I basically just maintain it like that way, and I think it's fine like that, you know. I like NixOS because I think it's really stable. Like, I'm on the stable base, and as you can see right there, and I'm using the latest kernel, so I think that's pretty cool. And I play around with Arch Linux. I'm on the roll and release system as well. I have Arch Linux on this box. I have Arch Linux on my B-Link as well. So I mean, I have 2 systems on all these computers. All of them has 1 hard drive of Arch Linux and 1 hard drive of Nix, and that's all I use, and that's all I like. And I love Linux. Linux is great. Anyways, guys, have a good one. Cheers.